The night had learned her name. That was how Amara later described it. She turned on her side to find a cool place on the pillow and then, without warning, heard her own name blown through the reed. Amara. It was not a human voice. It had the thinness of wind moving through the mouth of a forgotten bottle. It came from the sitting room. She froze, counting her breath. The house settled with ordinary creaks. Her heart performed a quick drum solo. She swallowed and sat up. It came again, closer. The moon rose over Umuaka like a polished calabash, bright enough to silver the roofs and turn the dust on the footpaths into pale ribbons. From the courtyard of a low mud-plastered house, the scent of palm oil and fried plantain lingered. Beyond the fence, crickets turned their tiny violins and the neighborhood generators coughed and settled into their nightly growls. Amara carried the short raffia broom with the swagger of a girl newly trusted to handle grown people chores. She had just turned 17, old enough to braid her hair the way she liked. Old enough to stay up reading with a torchlight and, in her opinion, certainly old enough to sweep her grandmother's front room whenever she pleased. Her grandmother, Mama Nneka, didn't think so. Night is for prayers, she would say, tapping her rosary against the rim of her enamel cup. Night is when spirits change shift. You don't call them with your broom. Amara laughed the first time she heard it. Nah, spirits that fear light bulbs? Spirits don't fear light, Mama Nena said calmly. They fear authority, and authority is not in your bulb. It is in the name of Jesus. Tonight, the village sky was clear. Amara could see the outline of udala trees and the skinny mango that never grew taller than the eaves. She could also see the mess she had made, crumbs of coconut candy, pencil shavings, and cloths lint scattered along the threshold because she and her cousin Chika had staged a market day on the sitting room floor. Mama Nena had already gone to bed. She had told Amara again, leave it till morning, sweep after cockcrow, never at night. But guilt prickled at Amara. What harm could there be in a clean floor? She stood in the doorway and listened. Far away, a dog barked at nothing grander than the night. The chorus of insect rose in waves. Her thoughts, young and heavy, ran in every direction. Dreams of getting a spot at the radio station in town, of leaving the village for school, of writing stories that would carry her beyond every horizon she knew. The broom bristled her hand. I will sweep gently, she told herself. I will not wake Ne. I will not call any spirit. It is the 21st century. We have phone touches. She clicked on her phone slide, a narrow blade of white across the sitting room, and stepped inside. Mama Nena had lived through the 3 regimes, through famines and a flood that turned her streets into a brown river carrying stools, goats, and stubborn rooster that tried to swim. She carved proverbs like beards. She believed Jesus was not a visitor to be entertained on Sundays, but the head of the household. Every door had a chalk cross at the top. Every meal began and ended with prayer. Certain warnings are like fences, she told Amara that afternoon, sorting dried fish into a bowl. There may be old fences, leaning fence, but they mark a boundary. If you cross it, ask yourself why it was put there. What boundary is in sweeping, Mama? Amara had teased. Shouldn't the devil be glad if I sweep them out? Mama Nena's laugh was dry and short. You think brooms only move dirt? They move things you cannot see. Night sweeping is an invitation, like knocking on a door you don't believe exists. When I was a girl, my mother warned me. We were not Christians then. Even pagans knew. Night is not for sweeping. But we are Christians now, Amara said. Jesus is Lord. His blood covers us. Yes, Mama Nena agreed. But obedience is part of that covering. If you are careless with old doors, at least pray before you touch them. Many traditions are fear in disguise. Some hide wisdom. Some hide chains. You need discernment to tell which is which. Discernment comes from the Spirit. And the Spirit says, Amara had declared with a theatrical flair that tidiness is close to godliness. Mama Nena swatted the air with her wrapper. Ewo, play, don't joke with old roads at night. Now, hours passed. Later, those words drifted back. They did not restrain Amara. She was 17 after all, but they folded somewhere near her heart, waiting. The sitting room was small. A sofa patched with the men, a wooden center table carved with leaves, a radio whose dial struck whenever you tried to find a station beyond the Christian broadcast. There were 2 framed photographs on the wall, one of Mama Nena at her daughter's wedding, one of Amara at age 9 grinding around missing teeth. The floor was red earth, well kept, a gloss from years of smoothing with palm oil. Amara began gently, gathering crumbs towards the doorway, feeling the delicate resistance of the broom's raffia teeth against the floor. Her phone light made a shaky circle that jumped when she moved. She hummed to keep her courage from drying up, a little song from church about God's goodness chasing her down the street. The first odd thing she noticed was the sound. Sweeping always had a rhythm. The crash, drag, scratch, drag, and the quiet whisper of dust. Tonight, there seemed to be another broom feint, a second scratch track. A heartbeat behind hers. She stopped. The extra sound stopped. She moved again. It returned. Amara told herself it was just the echo of the room. She swept faster, almost to prove something to the invisible. Her broom swishing turned the air. The second sound grew more confident, matching her stroke for stroke, as if something in the darkness had found their tempo. "Who is there?" she asked, with more curiosity than fear. The air answered with night sounds. The generators droned, the cicadas talked. The second broom fell silent. She laughed at herself and got back to work. But as she swept under the chair, she felt it again. That other broom chasing her bristles, scratching and catching the dust she missed, walking in her wake. Amara's mouth went dry. She flickered the light towards the corner, not too boldly, because a bold gesture would admit that she expected to see something. There was nothing, just the corner where 2 lizards played at ownership during the day and small spider claimed the night. She forced the motion of her hand to slow, forced her breath to lengthen. Fear is a rumor, she told herself, repeating her favorite line. Courage is a fact. A cockroach skittered out from under the table. Amara jumped, then laughed because she felt silly. The second broom swished again, loud as her own now, as if the laughter gave it permission. "Enough," she murmured. "Just finish." She thought of Mama Nena asleep in her room, the soft knock of cane against the bed frame when she rolled over, the low hum of her prayer even in sleep. If anything truly strange happened, if the room changed the shape or a cold hand gripped her wrist, she would run. She promised herself. She would run to Ne and God together. She swept the last pile of crumbs towards the doorstep and opened the door to brush it into the night. The moon was a clean coin on dark velvet. Wind moved with cassava leaves. Dogs argued like drunk old men down the roads. Nothing moved that should not move. Everything was still as a proverb carved in wood. Amara closed the door, leaned the broom against the wall, and felt her muscles slacken with a relief that embarrassed her. "See," she told the empty room, "nothing tomorrow. Will confess to Ne and accept my rebuke, but see, nothing." She washed her hands at the basin, set her phone on the table, and went to bed. The night had learned her name. That was how Amara later described it. She turned on her side to find a cool place on the pillow and then, without warning, heard her own name blown through the reed. Amara. It was not a human voice. It had the thinness of wind moving through the mouth of a forgotten bottle. It came from the sitting room. She froze, counting her breath. The house settled with ordinary creaks. Her heart performed a quick drum solo. She swallowed and sat up. It came again, closer. The broom's bristles rubbed themselves together and made a syllable. The syllable was her name. She knew it, bone deep. Amara reached for her phone. The screen was blank, rectangle reflecting her startled eyes. Battery dead. She had forgotten to plug it in. The third time her name came, it came with company. There were other brooms now, dozens, maybe hundreds, all whispering their private names for things. They were brooms of palm fronds and brooms of raffia, brooms new and brooms worn thin, brooms used to clean palaces and brooms that had only ever known red earth. They swept the rhythm without effort. Scratch, drag, scratch, drag. They were not angry. They were not kind. They were present. Amara slid her feet to the floor. The concrete was cool. The night pressed its ear to the walls, listening for her. She stood, her knees not quite steady, and opened her door just enough to see the sitting room. Moonlight stained the floor a lighter brown. The broom leaned where she left. Nothing moved, except there were footprints, bare, small footprints, as if a child had walked through dusk after rain. They began at the broom and moved towards the edge of the room where the photos hung. The sprints were damp, as if the feet had made hard-crust wet grass. They reflected moonlight slightly, dark silver on the floor's sheen. They were not there when she went to bed. She felt the urge to say grandmother's name louder than the broom's. "Nah," she called, but what left her mouth was air. Fear had wrapped her voice in cloth. She tried again. "Nah." The bedroom scraped thin and careful. Mama Ne stepped out, rosary in hand, wrapper gathered around her. She looked smaller in the night, as if the many years had loosened from her bones and she carried them like a clock. But her eyes were clear. They fell to the floor, took in the spirit, took in the broom, took in Amara's face, and nothing in her expression said surprise. "So," she said softly, as you would say, "So you have come." To a late guest, the neighbors coughed. "Go inside," Mama Nena told her. "Bring me oil." They prayed until the far-off rooster stitched a red thread through the black cloth of night. They prayed without show, without dramatic pause. Mama Nena anointed the doorway and the window frame, the places you might not think to bless, the radio, the water jar, the mosquito net tied in a bun at the corner of the room. She anointed Amara's forehead and her own. They read Psalms 91, each verse like a stone in a wall. And that night, Amara never forgot the lesson. Always be obedient, not to tempt other spirit, because even though the blood of Jesus covers you, it is also very, very correct to stay inclined with the spirit.
Please subscribe to watch more of our videos. Thank you.